So the last thing we did was setting up the two photos from the front and the side view, and the next thing is to set these up in Maya, and it's pretty easy, so we're just gonna do that. I'm gonna make a new scene. I'm not gonna save this, the old head, and I'm gonna go to the outliner by pressing over here. I'm gonna duplicate. If you select the side view, press Ctrl D, you're duplicating the camera. I'm gonna do that for the side and also the front. I'm gonna call this side ref, and the other one is gonna be called front ref. If you select this icon, you will get the attribute editor. This means you can see the settings for the camera. If you scroll down to environment, you can see you can set an image plane, and I'm gonna create one. I'm gonna find the file, and I'm gonna go to, if you set your project, you will automatically go into the folder, and you can just select scenes. Oh, sorry. And you can just go into the images, of course, where I placed my file. And you can see it pops up, and it automatically gets the right size. This was the front, and then I'm gonna do the same for the side. Okay, it might be that we have to rescale the images because they're very big, but we're not gonna do that now, because now we're going to fit them a bit better, so they fit more exactly. And if you select the camera, you can go to the channel box by pressing here, and you can see you have the camera up here, and you have the image plane down here. And you can see you have these three settings: sensor X, sensor Y, sensor Z. And if you use them, you can then replace the image plane. So I would like to make my model in the middle of the grid. So I'm just gonna hold space and go to and middle mouse button and go to front view. And I want kind of the middle of a face to be in the middle of the plane. Sorry, the grid. The grid. So you can see her head is a bit tilted. I'm not sure if it's tilted, but something is weird. So I'm just gonna make sure that one side is kind of alright. I think, yeah, this is probably the best I can do right now. So we could go into Photoshop and rotate it, but for now we're just gonna accept this. So we know that these have the same proportions, the side and the front. So we're gonna copy that. If we select the front view again, go to image plane, we're going to copy the value that's, oops, sorry, yeah, we're gonna copy the value that makes it go up, because this means that we will have the same height of the two image planes. So I'm just gonna select the side camera, and I'm gonna go to Y and paste in the same value. I copied it from the last one. And then I'm gonna move my image a bit forward by using C, and you can see it fits really well with the nose and the mouth and the chin as well. So I'm gonna place it if we again go to the side view, I'd like to have maybe the air some place here. I wanted to place it pretty much in the center of the grid. And then you can see it's alright. Now I can move this image plane out to the side, because it's just as a reference we're gonna make the real model in the middle of these two grids. I'm gonna do the same for the front. So now if I go to the front view, you can see I have the image. It's placed in the middle, so I will have my middle on the coordinate where the x coordinate is 0. And that's good because later on when we're gonna mirror our character, she's gonna fit better with the mirroring. Yes. And you can see also if you go to the side, we have a pretty nice setup with the side as well. So now we're actually ready for modeling, but there's only one thing missing. And you could just start modeling, but you have no plan on how to model. So it's really important that you first have these image planes, but you also need to consider how you want your edge loops on the model. And this can be a bit tricky. So what we're going to do is that we're going to use this image, and we're going to paint, draw, I guess it's called, over the image, just to try and figure out how we would like the edge loops. Yes, so I'm just trying to get room for my tablet. Yes, I have a really small tablet, but for this purpose it's okay, I guess. I use something else when I'm painting. Alright, I'm gonna make a new layer. It's really hard to do this because my tablet has to be in front of me and my microphone is in front of me. So it's not that easy. I'm gonna select a nice green color. Why doesn't? Oh, okay, it works. So I'm just gonna make the brush size a bit bigger. Alright, so there are some lines we can see pretty clearly. We can see still two. Okay, we can see the brow. And we can see a nose. And then of course there's a little line here. And the lips. And you can see the line around. Sorry. It's really hard to do this when the tablet is crooked. And then you got a little, you can almost not see it, but there's a line. Fuck, it's really hard to draw. So you can see there's a very unclear line here. And then of course there's the jar. And there is a bit of a plane here. Just gonna draw that in as well. And then of course around the eyes, you can see there's a line going here. And sorry about this, but it's really hard to draw when there's no space on your desk. So you can see that the lines around the eyes actually are kind of pulling downwards. And there's also here. So you can see it begins to take shape. So right now I'm not drawing for the lines I can see, but I'm kind of guessing. And you can see this oops, this makes this shape already. There's actually a line here as well. Yes, I'm a bit concentrated right now, that's why I'm not speaking. So you can see this already makes the grid in some kind of way. And this is gonna be very helpful when we are making this model, because we already know how we should how the edge loops should be. Yes. And when you're modeling, it's really much of the work is just tweaking, trying different things out. And you can see I'm just trying to figure out how the edge loops should be. But it gives a much more clear idea of what you want and what you need. And this is gonna make it easier when you then start the actual modeling. And I know it's a bit annoying to make all this kind of prep work when you just want to get modeling, but it's gonna help you in the long run, because then you don't need to spend that much time on tweaking. So in some way it's helping. Alright. So I think there's not much else to do than just start. And you want kind of some edge loops around here to get it going. I'm gonna keep this image open just for reference. Wow, it was really bad drawn. Yeah, but I guess that's the way it is sometimes. Yes. So now I would like to start modeling. There are a couple of things before we start, and one thing is that I would like to do this fast, but not too fast, because you should also understand what I'm doing. But most of the tools that I use can be found if you have this set to Polygon. You can find most of the tools in Edit Mesh. I'm gonna be using marking menus. A marking menu is, for example, this is a marking menu. There's a bit of an error that makes my window show. You shouldn't care about that. But this is gonna make it much faster, because I can just quickly click. Let me show you. Let's actually just start with the model. So I'm gonna create a polygon primitive, and I'm going to create a plane. I'm going to drag it on the grid, and by pressing E I can rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it, and holding J I will rotate it in a number of degrees, so I can get 90 really easy. And then I'm going to go to, by holding space, going down to the front, I'm going to place it somewhere around the eye. That is where I want to start. And in the beginning I would like to keep a very low polyflow, or poly count, sorry, because you can always add more. So it's easier to tweak when there's less polygons. And let's say we have this plane now. If I hold down Control, right mouse button, I get these options. So if I, for example, go to vertex, I can select two, and if I want to merge them, I can, by holding Shift right mouse button, I can go to merge vertex, merge to center, and it merges. So there's a lot of neat stuff you can do just by using these. If I select the mesh and I hold down Shift right mouse button, I can split polygon tool, or I can insert edge loop. So I can just insert edge loop. It's really easy to work with. So that was a quick introduction to that. Another thing is that I made a hotkey for extruding. So if I select the edge, I made this hotkey that if I press Ctrl W, it is extruding. And you could also go to edit mesh extrude, but I just think it's oh, just a second. I was really close to sneezing. Anyway, you can go up to extrude here. The problem is it takes a long time if you have to go up first and then press extrude and go down again, so it's much faster just to press Ctrl W. So I hope you get the point. And I'm gonna go, of course, explain what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So now I'm just gonna fit the plane. I'm gonna go to the front view, and I think I'm gonna work with the other side actually, because it seems more straight to me than the other side. When I use the tools, I will of course tell you what I'm doing, but as we go on, I will be telling you less and less, because I have already been telling you about this, so there's no reason why I should tell you all the time. So the first thing we're going to do is to extrude. Oops, I can see that I have reflection on. I'm gonna extrude this around the eye. Extrude. I'll try to fit it as nicely as I can. So you might notice that my edges are way too high, so I'm just gonna pull them down a bit. And there's not really much to say about this. I think when you're modeling, it will be hard in the beginning, because it's much most of the time you're trying to feel how the shape should be, and you might have some weird deformations, and it can be really hard to try to figure out how these deformations should be, and it sometimes make the mesh look weird and unnatural. So you will really have to tweak it and tweak it a lot. So merging, pretty easy when you do it with the marking menus. And one thing also is that you want the same amount of edges on the top of the eye and on the lower part of the eye. So it might be that I will have to delete some of them, and I can see this one is not needed. So again, it's about keeping it clean. So if you hold down shift, right mouse button, you can press delete edge. And I'm just gonna move this a bit more so it fits a bit better. So you can see this already fits a bit much like the real one. And you can see this have a line going down. So I'll try to get the line into the mesh. And I know that I'm gonna need some more lines on each side of the eye. So why not add them now? And over here I already have one. So I'm just gonna need another one. Like that. And the next thing is to fit it in the side view. So I'm just gonna press side view, and you can see now it can be tricky to select the right edges because it's just a plane. So what you might want to do is have two views open. I just pressed the outliner. If you go to the panels in the outliner, you can select perspective or you can select orthographic view, and I'm going to select the side view. This means that now I can see the perspective at the same time as I can see the side view. So I'm just gonna select these outer edges, and I'm gonna hold B, or I'm gonna press B to make soft selections. This shows the soft selection. If you hold down V and press left mouse button, you can scale how you want your selection to be. So mine is gonna be like this, and I'm gonna drag it down. I'm gonna select the middle one, the middle edges or vertices, and I'm gonna pull them a bit out. In here, I think if we go to the Photoshop, it should also be a bit more inward. So you can see if you have done a lot of these models before, you would kind of know how it should be, because you've done it so many times before. But if you haven't done it, it can be hard to figure out how to do it. And you can see this compared to the front view that we had, it's a bit lower. So I'm just trying to make some compromise, and you can see it has a curve, so it should be going inwards a little bit. So you can see already the tweaking is beginning. But you know, it might be hard if you think about it to sit around and do all this stuff. But it's also really funny. Oh man, I just noticed a mistake I did. I used, this should be the inner part. So this should actually be a lot more inward. And this is the outer part. So this should be all the way over here. Sorry about that mistake. Yes, and that wraps up the second part of the tutorial. In the next part we're going to look at so you can see already this is starting to have some kind of shape. It still needs a lot of tweaking. So I'm just trying to fit it as it would be more natural. Yes. So anyway, this was the first part of the tutorial. In the next part we're going to work more on the eye and see how we can continue from here. So you can see we already have a nice shape. What I like to do is to work in small pieces and make sure that I don't add too much subdivision. And you also want, because it's the eye, you know that it's gonna have some kind of roundness to it, and you want to try to add that already now in the mesh. Yes. So I'm just gonna pause it, and I'll be taking a short break and then starting with the next tutorial.